Okay, so get this.
Mm-hmm.
We're diving into this podcast episode.
Okay.
It's called Love on the Edge.
Interesting.
It's all about these crazy things couples do for love.
Oh, wow.
Like, seriously, we're talking about learning to surf,
Really?
surprise concert appearances,
Wow.
even a skydiving proposal.
No way.
It's wild.
That sounds intense.
So we've got the episode itself,
Okay.
where the hosts, Ava and Noah,
Mm-hmm.
share their own stories.
Gotcha.
And then they share some from their listeners.
Cool.
And to make things even more interesting,
Okay.
we've got a relationship expert, Dr. Mia,
Awesome.
who weighs in on the whole thing.
Nice.
So what I'm really curious about is, like,
Yeah.
what makes a grand gesture really meaningful, you know?
Uh-huh.
Is it like the sheer audacity of it or
Yeah.
the thoughtfulness behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it something else entirely?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the spectacle, you know?
For sure.
But the real impact is often, like, beneath the surface.
So let's see what these stories reveal.
Okay, so Ava's story definitely caught my attention.
Oh, yeah.
She decided to learn to surf
Wow.
to surprise her partner,
Really?
who's like a huge surfing enthusiast.
Interesting.
That's commitment.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like,
Mhm.
learning a new skill,
Uh-huh.
especially something as challenging as surfing,
Right.
it shows, like, a real commitment to connecting with your partner
Yeah.
on a deeper level.
Totally.
It's like saying,
Yeah.
I'm willing to push myself outside my comfort zone for you.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that she's honest about
About
spending more time wiping out than actually riding waves. You know, it makes it feel more genuine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's, like, a vulnerability in that,
Right.
a willingness to laugh at yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which can be really endearing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, but then there's Noah.
Okay.
He drove 7 hours
Oh, wow.
to surprise his partner at a concert.
And he even snuck on stage.
He snuck on stage.
I know.
It's a bold move.
Talk about going above and beyond.
Yeah, and it speaks to the power of
The thing.
spontaneity and surprise in relationships.
Oh, for sure.
These, like, unexpected moments
Right.
can inject a real sense of excitement and adventure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the look on his partner's face.
Right.
But it does make you wonder, like,
Yeah.
where's the line
Mm-hmm.
between a romantic gesture and,
Yeah.
well, maybe a bit much?
Right. Maybe a bit much.
Yeah.
That's where Dr. Mia's insights come in.
Okay.
She emphasizes that.
Yeah.
While grand gestures can be incredibly powerful,
Right.
clear communication is essential.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what one person might find romantic,
Right.
another might find, like, overwhelming
Total.
or even intrusive.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between expressing your love in a grand way
Right.
and ensuring that your partner feels comfortable and respected. Sometimes, like
Yeah.
a quiet, intimate gesture
Yeah.
can be just as meaningful,
Right.
if not more so.
Totally. Okay, now I'm dying to hear about these listener stories.
Yeah.
They apparently got even crazier.
Oh, really?
First up,
Okay.
a skydiving proposal.
Wow.
I know.
Talk about taking your love to new heights.
Seriously.
What's fascinating about this one is the element of shared risk and adrenaline.
I was thinking the same thing. I
Yeah.
mean, proposing while plummeting towards the earth,
Right.
that takes a certain level of trust and shared sense of adventure.
Right. And research actually shows that
Really?
couples who engage in, like, novel and exciting activities together tend to report higher levels of relationship satisfaction.
That makes sense.
So, like, those shared experiences create a unique bond.
So maybe the key to a lasting relationship is a healthy dose of adrenaline.
Maybe.
Just kidding, sort of.
Right.
But speaking of adventure, another listener hiked up a mountain in the dead of winter
Oh, wow.
just to find the perfect spot to propose.
Now, that's dedication.
I know, right?
And it highlights another aspect of grand gestures,
Well,
the effort and sacrifice involved.
It's not just about the grandness of the action itself.
Right.
It's about the thoughtfulness and planning that went into it.
Exactly.
That level of effort speaks volumes.
It's like saying,
Yeah.
I'm willing to go to great lengths to make you happy.
Ah,
And that message can be so powerful.
so powerful.
Right.
But let's be honest.
Okay.
Not all grand gestures have to be
Yeah.
death-defying feats of athleticism.
Right.
We also have the story of the giant chicken suit.
Now, that's my kind of grand gesture.
I know.
Humorous, unexpected,
Right.
and guaranteed to make you laugh.
Definitely.
Sometimes it's the lighthearted gestures that create the most lasting memories.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's about knowing your partner
Right.
and what makes them tick. For some people, like
Yeah.
a heartfelt letter would be the ultimate gesture. But for others, it might be like a flash mob in Times Square.
Exactly.
It really depends.
It all comes down to understanding what speaks to your partner's heart.
I love that.
It's about personalization and authenticity.
Right.
And that brings us back to Dr. Mia's point about communication again.
Yes, because even a gesture as silly as a chicken soup
Right.
can backfire if it's not something your partner would appreciate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A grand gesture should be a celebration of your relationship, not a source of stress or discomfort.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your expression of love aligns with your partner's desires and sensibilities.
So what we're seeing here is that a truly meaningful grand gesture goes beyond the surface level. It's about the underlying message it conveys.
Right.
The commitment, the thoughtfulness, the shared experience.
And it's about understanding your partner deeply enough to know what kind of gesture will resonate with them on a personal level. It's about making them feel seen, appreciated, and loved in a way that's authentic to your relationship.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say that these love on the edge stories have definitely given us a lot to unpack.
For sure.
But before we get too deep into the psychology of it all, let's hear about some more of those listener stories.
Awesome.
I'm curious to see what other crazy things people have done in the name of love.
I'm all ears.
Let's do it.
Let's see what other gems we can uncover.
Okay, so where were we? Yes, more listener stories from Love on the Edge.
Okay.
And this next one really shows the power of shared passions.
Oh, interesting.
So one listener decided to surprise their partner by secretly training for a marathon.
Wow.
And it was their partner's, dream race.
That's amazing.
I know, right?
It's one thing to,
support your partner from the sidelines.
Right.
But to actively join them in pursuing their passion, that takes it to a whole new level.
Exactly. It's like saying, I believe in your dreams so much that I'm willing to sweat and toil alongside you.
Right.
And let's be real. Training for a marathon is no walk in the park.
No, it's not.
It really shows a deep level of empathy and a desire to truly understand your partner's world.
Totally. Plus, imagine the sense of accomplishment they must have felt.
Oh, yes.
Crossing that finish line together.
Talk about a bonding experience.
There.
But not all grand gestures are about pushing physical limits.
Right.
This next one is all about
tapping
into your partner's inner child.
I love that.
So one listener recreated their partner's favorite childhood vacation, complete with all the nostalgic details.
No, that's heartwarming.
I know. It shows a deep understanding of what makes their partner tick, what brings them joy. It's those personal touches that make a gesture really special.
I love that. It's like saying, I cherish every part of you, even the little kid inside. And it speaks to the power of nostalgia in relationships.
Absolutely.
Revisiting those happy memories can rekindle that initial spark and remind you of why you fell in love in the first place.
Exactly. It's about creating new memories while honoring the past.
Oh, I bet.
And sometimes a grand gesture can be a way of saying,
I'm sorry?
Oh, interesting. So this listener was feeling guilty for working late too often. So they surprised their partner with a weekend getaway. Planned down to the last detail.
That's so thoughtful.
And it highlights an important point.
What's that?
Grand gestures can be a form of atonement.
Right.
A way of making amends for past mistakes.
Or neglect.
Exactly.
It's a way of saying, I recognize that I messed up. And I'm willing to go the extra mile to show you how much I care.
Right. And sometimes those gestures can be the catalyst for a deeper conversation and the stronger connection.
It's like hitting the reset button, reminding yourselves why you're in this together.
Exactly.
So we've seen grand gestures that are adventurous, romantic, playful, and even apologetic. what's striking me is the sheer variety of ways people express their love.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is.
It challenges the notion that there's like a one-size-fits-all approach to love.
Right.
It's about finding what resonates with you and your partner.
Yes.
What speaks to your unique dynamic.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to
That's
Dr.
right.
Mia's emphasis on communication.
Yeah.
Because even with the best intentions, a grand gesture can fall flat if it's not aligned with your partner's
With their
personality and preferences.
Exactly.
So as we've been diving into these stories,
What's been resonating with you?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You know, what's striking me is how these gestures, regardless of their form, all boil down to expressing a deep level of care and commitment.
Right.
It's about going beyond the everyday, making a conscious effort to show your partner how much they mean to you.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's about moving beyond the mundane, injecting a dose of intentionality and excitement into the relationship.
And it's a reminder that love is an ongoing process, a journey that requires effort and creativity.
Right.
It's not just about saying, I love you.
Yeah.
It's about showing it in ways that are meaningful and memorable.
Beautifully put.
Like,
so what does this all mean for us?
Right.
Are we all expected to go out and plan these elaborate surprises? Or risk being labeled unromantic?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
It's not about the scale or the expense of the gesture.
It's about the heart behind it. A handwritten note, a surprise breakfast in bed, or even just taking the time to truly listen.
Right.
Those can be just as powerful as a grand gesture.
It's about being present, being attentive,
Yes.
and finding those little ways to make your partner feel special.
Exactly. And you know what?
What's that?
I think that's a really empowering message.
I agree.
We don't need to wait for a special occasion or feel pressure to outdo ourselves. Love is about those everyday moments of connection, big and small.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a culture of appreciation in your relationship.
Yes.
Where you're constantly looking for ways to express your love and gratitude, whether it's through a grand gesture or a simple act of kindness.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of grand gestures, what's the key takeaway?
I think the common thread is the power of intentionality. It's about making a conscious effort to show your partner that they are loved, cherished, and a priority in your life.
I love that.
It's about being mindful, being present, and making the effort to create those special moments that strengthen your bond.
And it's about remembering that love is a verb, an action, a choice we make every day.
So well said.
Now, this deep dive has definitely sparked my imagination. Starting to think about all the little ways I can express my love more intentionally. And I'm curious, what about you?
Let me think. What's one small but meaningful gesture I could do for my partner today?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a handwritten note.
Okay.
Expressing my appreciation for something specific they do.
I love that idea.
It's simple.
Yeah.
But I know it would mean a lot.
It's those little acts of kindness that often have the biggest impact.
I agree.
And speaking of impact, these love on the edge stories have definitely left a lasting impression.
They really have.
They've reminded us that love is an adventure, a journey filled with surprises, laughter, and moments to take our breath away.
And they've inspired us to be more intentional, more creative, and more courageous in our own expressions of love.
Beautifully said. So, you know, as we wrap up this deep dive into Love on the Edge, I'm struck by how these stories have, challenged my own perceptions. What it means to express love.
Interesting.
I used to think grand gestures had to be these huge, over-the-top productions.
It's easy to get caught up in the societal expectations, right?
Yeah, like the pressure to create these Instagram-worthy moments that scream romance. But what these stories have shown us is that it's not about the size or the spectacle.
It's about the thought, the intentionality, the deep understanding of your partner.
It's about finding those unique and personal ways to say, I love you, in a language that your partner truly understands.
Totally.
And that language can be spoken through a shared adventure, a thoughtful gesture, or even just a quiet moment of connection.
It's about recognizing that grand gestures are not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. What might be incredibly romantic for one couple could be completely off-putting for another.
It all comes down to knowing your partner, understanding their love language, and finding those gestures that speak to their heart.
And sometimes the grandest gesture of all is simply being present.
Yes.
Listening attentively and showing up for your partner in those everyday moments.
It's about choosing to make your partner a priority.
Not just in the grand gestures, but in the small, everyday acts of love and kindness.
Because at the end of the day, it's those little moments that add up to create a tapestry of love, a shared history that binds you together.
It's those shared memories, those inside jokes, those moments of vulnerability and support that form the foundation of a lasting and fulfilling relationship.
So as we say goodbye to love on the edge, let's carry this inspiration with us.
Let's challenge ourselves to be more intentional, more creative. And more courageous in our own expressions of love.
Whether it's planning a grand adventure, writing a heartfelt note, or simply making time for a meaningful conversation, let's make the effort to show our partners how much we care.
Because love, in all its forms, is a gift worth celebrating.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration of love and all of its crazy, beautiful expressions.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.
Keep exploring.
And keep the love alive.